Hi everyone, this is Sasha in Denver. I saw some what I would describe as fake news describing a popular vote initiative that's going on state by state, and I thought I'd put together some data so that people could come to their own conclusions. In Colorado and in a lot of other states, we're voting this year on what's called the National Popular Vote Compact. What the Constitution says is that each state can decide how it will allocate its electors for the Electoral College. That decision is made on a state-by-state basis. Way back in the day, New York, for example, said the legislature will choose who its electors are. Now in most states, people vote, but the parties and the party organizers choose who the electors are going to be, which is very different than the way the founders thought it was going to go, but that's a whole different point. So what this National Popular Vote Compact is proposing is it's saying we will look at who wins the national popular vote, and all of the states that sign on to this compact will allocate their electors to the winner of the national popular vote. But the compact is structured in such a way that it doesn't kick in until states with 270 electors combined agree to this compact, because then it'll work. Then it'll reflect the national popular vote and it'll actually make a difference. So a big debate at hand has been, well, does this mean the big states get a lot more influence than the little states? And I think this is where we can do a really simple data analysis to really understand what's going on. Today, you need 270 votes in the Electoral College to win, and I believe that amounts to, let's see here, I believe that's the top 11 states. Let's see. It is the top 11 states. So California through New Jersey, if they could all team up, they would decide exactly who wins the presidential election every time. But there's Republican states and Democratic states, so a presidential candidate generally needs to win a patchwork of these. But there's only a handful of battleground states, and that's really where all of the attention of the presidential campaigns goes, is those few battleground states. And that is partially why people are bringing forward this proposal. So top 11 states could control the country in terms of who the president is. What I did was I took the 2010 census, said we had 308 million people. By 2020 census, we expect that'll be closer to 340 million or 330 million. But I just want to use the official data that we have. And today, California, well, not today, 2010, California had 37 million residents. So they had 12% of the population, and they had 55 of 538 electors. Therefore, they had 10% of the overall sway, national sway, in who the president should be. So that makes a 1.8% difference for California to go to a direct democracy model. California would have 1.8% more sway in who the president would be. Texas would have 1% more sway. Florida would have 0.7% more sway, and it goes down, and that comes at the trade-off of these other states. So the most detrimental would be Wyoming. Wyoming is the biggest loser of this proposal. Wyoming today has 0.18% of the national population and 0.56% of the electors. So they got 3 of 538. So I tally up the difference between all of these. And one thing that some people have said, that I've seen people say, is that the small states are mostly Republican, and therefore Democrats are going to benefit from this. And I don't think that's a very strong argument, because the reality is that for every Wyoming, there's a Vermont, and for every Montana, there's a Delaware. And small states are actually not that good of a predictor of whether someone's a Democrat or Republican or call it like the sentiment of that state, the political sentiment of that state. What I did do is I was trying to see who would benefit from this on a state-by-state basis. And I took a pretty rudimentary approach at this. So I said, who won the 2016 presidential election? So in California, a Democrat, Hillary Clinton, won California. And California is going to gain 1.8% more sway in the national vote. Therefore, this really doesn't make that much of a difference because California is already winning. And you kind of like go down the line. You get all the way down to Washington State, where you see a Democrat, Hillary, won Washington. But now Washington's going to have less sway, slightly less sway, and therefore that would benefit Republicans, assuming that in 2020 things are the same in terms of demographics and how people look at this. So likewise, let's see, where does a Republican switch to Democrat? You got to go a little bit further down. So in Wisconsin, Republican won, Donald Trump won, but Wisconsin would lose some of its national importance in deciding who's president, so theoretically that would benefit Democrats. And then I said, how many states benefit Democrats if you switch to popular vote? How many states would benefit Republicans? And there's slightly more states, 5 more states, that would benefit Democrats. And that adds up to a 0.58% difference in the national sway of who gets to make those decisions. But that entire difference and more is taken out in California. In other words, if you were to zero out California, you actually go in the opposite direction. This would theoretically benefit Republicans. So this is just the data. You can come to your own conclusions. I just want to make sure that when people are thinking about the impact this will have on the election from a numbers perspective, that they've got some truth in front of them.